Hello everyone, welcome to the Canada Truth Channel, where Canada, the illusion of freedom and system of control is exposed. Today's video, let's turn the federal government's propaganda ministry propaganda against them with an Alberta twist and a real not dirty hockey reference. How's this? Elbows up, Alberta. Game on, feds. How's that? Let me know in the comments. That's how I feel. So, as I said in my last video, I would review this documentation with you. It's a very long document. I'm going to provide an overview and, as always, provide the links for you to do your own reading and develop your own level of knowledge and understanding. That way you can make educated and informed decisions. I also said in previous videos that Canada is in the midst of a psychological war conducted by the federal government against the people of Canada. The people of Canada, unfortunately, lost phase one of that psychological operation, which was the smiling, charismatic face of tyranny, which was Justin Trudeau. The second phase of this psychological war that we have most recently lost is the election of Mark Carney. We lost that psychological warfare battle. The next phase is one of two things. Phase 3 is going to be the complete destruction of Alberta and Western Canada, or the complete destruction of Canada, which I think is the ultimate goal. However, Alberta and the people of Alberta inconveniently stand in the way. This phase of this psychological war is now going to be aimed directly at Premier Smith and the people of Alberta. So the people of Alberta have to stand united and fight off the enormous propaganda machine in Canada and the US and around the world, the bought off media, the media that's paid by governments. Rely on independent media that are not paid by the government. Rely on sources like myself and many others out there that don't ask you for anything but to educate yourselves and then share the information. I've never asked for money or contributions or anything. This channel will never be monetized by YouTube. I'm doing this for the soul of Alberta because that's all we have left. And to all the Canadians out there that say, Alberta, you're just having a temper tantrum because you lost the election. We've been trying for a long, long time to have equal representation in this confederation. And here we are. Now we are pushed to the very edge of the extinction of our way of life. So, we've been pushed this far. Our backs are against the wall, and Danielle Smith has repeatedly stated that she believes in an independent Alberta within a united Dominion of Canada that follows the Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That hasn't been attainable despite all reasonable efforts. So here we are. And for all of you fictional fact checkers, these are the facts, and I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to find the facts for yourself. And as always, I will provide the links in the description and encourage everyone to develop their own level of knowledge and understanding, including you mainstream propaganda machine employees and associates and influencers. So it's very, very easy. Go to the Alberta website right away. There's an overview. It has some key changes. It has some basic overviews, or if you prefer, they have a more detailed production for review. Danielle Smith has covered most of this in her announcement, which was immediately attacked by the media as a temper tantrum because we lost the election. I'll show you none of these acts that are affected by this Amendment Act are new. These are just amendments to existing acts. And if you say the timing is suspicious, I'll say the timing is brilliant. It's a brilliant tactical maneuver by Danielle Smith. She knows there's no way that the federal government will let her lead a referendum for separation, no matter how she feels about it. However, she has increased the ability of the people of Alberta through a democratic process to achieve the same goal, and therefore gives her much more leverage when trying to deal with the federal government and, for probably the last time, try and salvage this confederation. So most people don't like reading through legalese and acts and statutes, and don't even like to watch me show you for hours on end. So I'm going to jump through to some specific things that they're bringing up right now, but these are good improvements. And if you take the time to read the existing acts and statutes, and read the proposed amendments, they're very reasonable. This is improving transparency. It's improving accountability of MLAs. It is making democracy easier, initiated by the citizens of Alberta. So all of you people out there that are going to say, Danielle Smith and the people of Alberta are the now direct threat to Canadian democracy. It's no longer Donald Trump. That's already over with. Now it's Danielle Smith and the people of Alberta. And if you take the time, if you hadn't sold your souls for money and had best interests of the people of Alberta and Canada at heart and told them the truth and showed them the truth, you might still have some support. You might not need $1.4 billion or whatever the astronomical money is that you get from the federal government. We lost phase 1 and phase 2 of this psychological war. We will not lose phase 3. We have truth and we have law on our side. And for those Alberta MLAs out there, I saw a ridiculous show today. For those of you that don't support this and don't support the people of Alberta, you will be called out immediately and you will be shown if you're not telling the truth, if you're spreading these propaganda lies. You will be shown to the entire world. And you think you can stop all of us? There's going to be new channels on new platforms and new discussion groups popping up everywhere. You can't whack-a-mole us all. We have the entire eyes and support of most of the world once again behind us. Just like people not willing to admit that secretly there's no hope for Canada and Alberta has no hope but to pursue independence. That was granted to us December 11th, 1931, after the passing of the Statute of Westminster. They just didn't tell the people, as I've shown you before. Where are we here? Sorry about the ranting. Here we go. Changes to improve accessibility under the Referendum Act. Enable the Chief Electoral Officer to conduct referendum votes for First Nation and Métis settlements when held in conjunction with municipal election. Allow the Chief Electoral Officer to recommend to the Lieutenant Governor in Council that voting in a referendum be discontinued and recommenced another day during emergencies. Allow the Lieutenant Governor in Council to discontinue and recommence voting on another day during emergencies. An emergency could include a disaster or unusual or unforeseen circumstance that are likely to have a significant effect on the conduct of a vote, including voters' ability to attend voting station or circumstances that puts the life and safety of a person at risk. This all sounds diabolical so far. What do you guys think? Changes to create clarity, consistency, and accountability under the Referendum Act. Require third-party advertisers to indicate if they are for or against a referendum question or questions. This change is included in the Election Finances and Contributions Disclosure Act, but applies to referendum. Remove the requirements for a referendum to occur before the Legislative Assembly makes a resolution authorizing an amendment to the Constitution of Canada. This change would also be applied to the Alberta Taxpayer Protection Act. Allow mail-in ballot to apply for constitutional referendum. This change would also be applied to the Alberta Taxpayer Protection Act. Changes to create flexibility under the Referendum Act. Allow the government to determine how and when election finances and Contributions Disclosure Act would apply to the referendum through regulation. However, specify that only Alberta entities can engage in third-party referendum advertising. Very important, very reasonable. This change would also be applied to the Alberta Pension Protection Act. Changes to improve efficiency under the Recall Act. Yeah, this should worry some of you MLAs out there because we still have an existing Recall Act. This just improves it and makes you more accountable. So if you force us, we'll use the existing Recall Act. The days of the people versus little child are over in Alberta. Reduce to 100 the number of words permitted from the applicant on the recall petition form and allow 7 days for a responding statement from an elected MLA being recalled. 100 words, and that's down from 200 words. And currently, there is no process for an MLA to provide a responding statement. Now it's going to be required within 7 days. Pretty reasonable. And now the number of words in the petition are down to 100, which is very reasonable because that will prevent these MLAs from saying, gee, that's 200 words and I'm so busy and I don't have time to read all this stuff. And do you know how much work I'm doing for the people of Alberta and blah, 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 blah. Well, accountability's coming. Require the chief electoral officer to determine within 7 days if the requirements for issuing a recall petition have been met. Verify within 21 days whether a recall vote is authorized. Report the recall petition results within 7 days after completing the verification of results. Right now it's 30 days, but there is no set time for the chief electoral officer to notify of the verification of results. Reduce the period of time required for a recall vote to be issued to 4 months from the date on which the successful petition results are published. And existing is the recall vote must be issued within 6 months of the date to which the successful petition results are published. So you might escape accountability temporarily out there, MLAs in Alberta, but you're not going to escape accountability. And if you don't get behind us, there's going to be some recalls and there's going to be people within the community stepping up. And the laws for that have changed too. So you better read very carefully and you better take heed to the voices of your constituents. Changes to make it easier to recall an MLA under the Recall Act. Provide that recall petitions can only begin 12 months after an MLA is elected and may not be issued 12 months before a set date general election. And currently, it's an applicant may not submit an application until 18 months after the election and within 6 months of an upcoming election. Extend the recall petition signature collection timeline to 90 days. Bring it up from 60 days to 90 days. Give the people to organize and get the petition signed. Again, direct democracy at work here, ladies and gentlemen. Change the threshold for signatures to 60% of the total number of electors who voted in the electoral district in the most recent election. And that is gone up because it used to be 40%. Changes to improve consistency between Recall Act and other democratic process legislation. Allow union and corporate contributions. This aligns with proposed changes to the Election Finances and Contributions Disclosure Act and Citizen Initiative Act. The citizen initiative process includes several steps. An eligible Alberta voter applies to the Chief Electoral Officer to start a petition for their initiative. The Chief Electoral Officer determines whether to approve the petition if the application meets the requirements. The Chief Electoral Officer issues the petition, including signing sheets for collecting signatures, and then the petition applicant, now known as the proponent, collects the signatures. The Chief Electoral Officer reviews the signatures and determines if the petition has been successful. Successful legislative and policy initiatives are referred to a committee of the Legislative Assembly of Assembly of Alberta for consideration. If the committee does not support a legislative initiative, a public vote is held. Successful constitutional initiative petitions go directly to a public vote. Constitutional and policy initiatives proceed by way of referendum, while legislative initiatives proceed by way of citizen initiative vote. Align the three types of citizen initiatives, policy, legislative, and constitutional, by changing the threshold for successful citizen initiative petition to 10% of the number of eligible voters who voted in the last general election. So, if you didn't vote in the last general election, you're not eligible, as it should be. And that number has gone from down to 10%. 20% from 20% of registered voters province-wide, and in 2/3 of Alberta's constituencies for constitutional initiatives. So that's a big change. And right now, I believe that threshold is 177,000 votes. And there are a number of initiatives and petitions going around that are very, very busy. So I think there's a lot of people that are very, very nervous out there. And even if MLAs block this legislation, there is still existing legislation. And if you make us get 600,000 signatures, the people of Alberta are absolutely motivated, and that's what we'll do. Rest assured, this is happening one way or another. The petition applicant is given 120 days to gather the required signature. That's up from 90 days, so we get a full extra month. Require the Chief Electoral Officer to decide within 30 days if requirements have been met to issue a petition, and within 60 days if the Chief Electoral Officer refers the matter to the court. Before, there was no timeline. Provide notice within 7 days that a proposal for a petition has been forwarded to the court, and that the petition applicant has the right to be party before the court and has the right to be heard. Issue the initiative petition within 7 days after the notice of the initiative petition is posted on the Chief Electoral Officer's website as a heads up to any interested third parties and to verify within 21 days whether a citizen initiative petition has been met. And these numbers are all down from existing numbers, as you can see here. Again, this is diabolically dangerous to democracy, isn't it? It's absolutely horrifying. Specify that successful initiative petitions completed 1 year or more before the next set election date must, if required, have an initiative vote on or before that set election date. Initiative petitions successfully completed after this deadline would, if required, have an initiative vote after the set election date, but before the next election date. Require that the rules set out in the Elections Act are followed as appropriate when a vote is held. Changes to improve consistency, efficiency, and fairness and accountability under the Citizens Initiative Act. Allow union and corporation contributions. This aligns with proposed changes to the Election Finances and Contributions Disclosure Act and Recall Act. Require all municipal and school board candidates across Alberta and third-party advertisers to report their campaign finances by September 30th of the election year in advance of elections that are regularly held in October. This approach would be consistent with the requirements for our local political parties in Calgary and Edmonton and will be introduced through regulatory amendments related to the Municipal Affairs Statutes Amendment Act 2025 if it passes. So again, the current status, the finances have to be reported by March 1st, which is typically after the election. So all this dark money can come in from these maybe nefarious sources, and that doesn't have to be reported until after the election currently. Does that sound like accountability and transparency to you? Seriously? So there's a brief overview. The entire proposed bill 54 is available. You can read the entire thing. I'm going to read the entire thing over the next day or two. That way, whatever the propaganda ministry comes up with next, I'll be able to just show you who and how they're lying. And in addition, to show you how easy it is to find this information for yourselves and for these fictional fact-checking, fiction fact-checkers. This is how easy it is. This is how easy it is. You would still have credibility if you would do this. Type in Citizens Initiative Act or any other act you're looking up. The first thing that pops up is Alberta government. Click on the link. It brings you to this page where you can view the PDF. And it's that easy, ladies and gentlemen. You can also download these PDFs to keep for yourself. All of you fictional fact checkers that are employed or associated with the propaganda ministry, Your fictional fact-checking days are finished. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned to the channel. As always, I'm going to show you as opposed to tell you things. Once again, I encourage you to follow the links I provide. Do your own reading, develop your own level of knowledge and understanding, and pass it forward, because it is you and I that are going to save Alberta. So let's work together. Let's keep our emotions in check before we make decisions that may be manipulated. So let's we need to, this is our one and only chance, and we've got to make sure that we're successful. And from what I've seen going on, we have support from all around the world. Once again, Alberta standing up against the tyranny of the federal government. And please don't believe the propaganda and lies that are being increased on Daniel Smith and the people of Alberta. Like the letter from the chiefs. These are reflexive control tactics designed to manipulate your emotions and cause you to make predetermined decisions. It's diabolical. It's diabolical what they're doing to us. So stay tuned. If you find this information valuable, please share, like, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.